Hello, and welcome to another episode of Catch Dog Concepts. This channel, we strive to continue to better our minds and dogs and inform others to the best of our ability when it comes to these dogs. We plan to not cause any controversy and maybe help somebody out in any way we can. So thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned, and we'll be with you in a moment. What is up? What is up? We back with another one. We got my guy Rain today. It's gonna be a general conversation. We thought of some topics or whatnot, but we really just gonna just let it flow. We're gonna have some fun with it. Answer some questions too. But yeah, and to look back, it's been I think a year since my first episode, my first podcast interview, and that was with Rain. And just to see where we come from now is just amazing. I feel like in the growth and just the people I've met from then to now it's just a blessing, I'd say. But I ain't gonna get all emotional with y'all. I'm gonna let Rain up. What's up?
Oh shit, what's going on?
Man, another day. Blessed to wake up and just do what I like doing. Duro, what's up, baby?
What's up, Duro? Who else is in here? Just us three?
Yeah, I think it's us three. Say three people watching, but I don't know. So Rain, he came to me. He was like, man, let's do an episode. Let's talk about primitive dogs. And then I'm like, okay, that's different, you know. Then we got into it, kind of talking about it. He said talk about pre-colonization, genetic separation from outcrossing, and how the dogs have stayed the same over the years, how they survived in their environments, how they may have changed once colonization happened, and some of those dogs that are still stuck around today, and what they're being studied for and why. So, what was your thought process with this when you first ran into it? Like, what were some questions you had? What were some things you put together when it came to the primitive dogs before pre-colonization?
Well, I was actually watching this documentary on YouTube maybe a few weeks ago, and it was talking about some of the types of dogs. I don't want to call them breeds, but some of the types of dogs that were in specific areas before colonization.
Yeah.
But then it went on to also talk about some of the dogs that have like really shaped canine biology, canine knowledge, and just canine, just the advancements that I think that have been overlooked. And so it was kind of like it's kind of like how we were just talking about before where we started about people saying Christopher Columbus did this or someone did this, and how in some aspects those are bad things of what happened, but obviously there's always some positive that comes out of that as well. Right. And so if you're a canine person, then this would be a way to look at colonization. It's like, okay, yeah, they had these specific types of breeds in the what they call the Americas, but were really called the Turtle Islands.
Turtle Island, yeah.
So those dogs were more like dingo-ish, like wild dog or dingo-ish. That's right. What you were seeing on these other continents, whether it be Africa, and we'll just say for argument's sake, North America, South America, and even in Australia and in Indonesia. So in Asia as well, you had this specific like body type with the bat ears, you know what I mean? Yep. Like that's what you saw.
Yeah.
And then 1400s, come along, the waterways open up, and then there's, because let's see, the slave trade is what, like 14, it's going in at like 1440 and up. So what was it, 1440 to like early 1800s,
Yeah.
as far as what they say, as far as the story goes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Then, but yeah, yeah,
right. Well, right, and even all of that is all of what they said isn't even true as far as
right.
how things were even navigated. But we're just for common knowledge from like mid 14th century to early 18th century. So within that time, you got people and you got dogs that they have collected from. Because look, we're looking at 17th century, 18th century. There's a lot of dog fighting going on.
Yeah,
So there's a
yeah.
lot of cross pollination due to blood sports.
Right.
Uh, you know what I mean? So that right there is like, I don't want to say, well, it's kind of like an inspiration for some people in the sense it's kind of how you get your Presa Canarios and your
Yeah, the
Cade
bull
Bows,
baiting, all
right?
that. Yeah,
Because something happened, like, oh man, my dog lost to so and so's dog that brought this dog over here on his stop from Spain or the UK or wherever this
right.
dog was. Because a lot of people don't know, like the Canary Islands was a port, and that's where a lot of slave trading happened. They also kept there was a lot of dog fighting, obviously, because they were obsessed with that shit during that time period. So the dog fighting, they were still doing slave stops there, and what they also did is they kept any slave that they thought was like a witch or a warlock or in a voodoo, hoodoo, whatever they
Yeah.
would have called it back then. They also kept them on the Canary Islands. So that there's a lot of shit happening in the Canary Islands.
Wow.
In from like the 14th century to the 18th century. You know what I mean? Like in
Yeah.
that time period. So yeah, someone's like, oh man, what was that dog y'all brought over here? You know what I mean? Like because there were also they even see there were some dogs there on that island. However, they got there pre-colonization. Is anybody's
Right.
guess. Were they trapped there? Did someone bring them there on a boat, on a hunting
Yeah.
trip from you know what I mean? Because technically that's Africa. The Canary
Yeah.
Islands.
Yeah.
It's technically that's Africa. So, how did those dogs get there? What exactly did they look like? We don't really know because back then, we didn't have any cameras to take snapshots. So,
Right.
but then you come over here to the Americas, and then they have a specific dog over here in North and South that's running around and, with the natives and the Aboriginal people. And then all of a sudden, they let their dogs loose. And,
Yeah.
these dogs, because you got to think about it. Like, canines were real easy. Like dogs are easy as far as like breeding. Now we're not talking about creating bloodlines. We're talking about just the aspect like compared to keeping and breeding reptiles, like dogs is a piece of cake. I can go
Because
buy
they've
two
they've
dogs.
changed over the years.
Right.
Dog.
Well, right. Well, that too. And then the other thing is like there's no dogs cycle themselves. Whereas reptiles and amphibians are cycled based on temperature changes in the environment. So you're guaranteed, you know what I mean, unless your dog just has some irregular heat cycles or something, or your dog is fixed, which that would be something you did. But under normal circumstances, you are guaranteed to get at least 2 periods where you can breed your dogs. And you don't have to be there for it to happen. How many backyard, neighborhood, ghetto, white trash, black trash, trailer park dogs have got out and bred with great dogs in the next town over or on the next part of shit town over here and come back home to you, and then you got a litter of shit puppies. You know what I mean?
Some mongrels.
It's the same thing. They let those dogs off the boat, and them dogs like you had dogs are probably in heat. Dog could smell some dog coochie for up to 2 miles. So, dog could be in heat anywhere. So as soon as they let them dogs off the boat, like boom, they're out. Dogs are destructive creatures. Especially they're a whole new environment. You know what I mean? They're in a whole new environment. Like boom. So
that's how the English Mastiff was developed, if I'm not mistaken, with the Alpine Mastiff, the Saint Bernard.
The Samurai, the Samurai Uruguayo is a perfect example of a dog that, it created itself in a way, but it happened because of colonization.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they had all those dogs down there from Spain, Portugal, all these dogs running around down there, and then they just left. That's the thing. And then they get back on these boats, and then they would leave. Some of them, not all of them, obviously. So then they would leave, and they would just leave the dogs there. And
That's a little
somebody's not
destructive.
right. So if somebody's
Yeah.
not tending to the dogs or breeding or keeping these dogs to do something specific with them, the
So
dogs
they
are
just
just
dumping.
out. Right, they're
Yeah.
just out. So I think about like the Cimarron, like I said, like that dog, like somehow selectively bred itself into the type of to then become a breed. Now, how
Right.
they wrote a standard and things like that, I'm not. There's not a lot of information on that. Though I've done breed profiles on it. There's not a ton of information on that dog, but it got to the point where those dogs became such a part of the environment that the farmers and the locals, they started competing with the dogs for food. And so then they like, man, we got to get rid of these dogs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they start
Right.
killing the dogs. And then in the midst of that, they're like, hold up, we could use the dogs. But then by that time, they had killed like 80% of the dogs. So then they start taking the dogs in. So then right there, bro, you got a whole nother change of environment, for this dog again, because now that's like a wild dog in a
Yeah.
sense. And then you're bringing it into a captive setting, a domesticated
Right.
setting. So that changes the dog, again. Luckily it's still in its same environment, but now you're bringing it into a enclosed setting. So,
Yeah.
all of that, like to how you get, think about like, okay, like, let me see. I had some stuff from another another show.
There's a
How
few
you had
breeds.
well, there's a top like okay, like
Yeah.
look at like the
Yeah.
Saluki, the Basenji, the Carolina dog, the Lude Hound, the Cannon dog, Tibetan Mastiff, Tibetan Spaniel, the Osawalt, Thai Ridgeback, hairless breed. Like those, they're not necessarily primitive, but hairless breeds, like they have issues with teeth development and hair mutations.
Yeah.
So those dogs are being studied. You know what I mean? Those two breeds are
Right.
being studied. Like the Jindo is a dog in Korea that's been isolated, and it's not even allowed to leave Korea. You know what I
Right.
mean? So that dog is come up in total isolation from any other breed.
Yeah.
Since its inception. The Moody is another dog that's been isolated. And they say it's one of the most intelligent breeds on the planet. But,
Okay.
to test the theory, you're going to have to go there. I guess to convince them to let you get some dogs. The Kai Ken is another. It's got. It's just basically adapted to mountain life in Japan. And if anybody knows about Japan or has been to Japan and knows about Japan's winters, there's some of the harshest winters like that you can go through.
Yeah.
And so this dog is adapted, to living in the mountains, just like, hey, you know what I mean? So I think that when we talk about, I mean, there's more, even like the singing dog, where it's one of those dogs that's like a perfect hybrid between wolf and dog, and then it developed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like then it just kind of went on its own. But there are dogs that are being studied. I think there's another dog. I think it might have been the Awalk. Like this dog coat actually gets darker as it gets older. And so they're studying this dog's coat, to see, how and why this is happening, and to see if they can find this gene and control it and manipulate it.
Right.
You know, so through colonization, we get these things. You know what I mean? And then through colonization, isolation, as well. But all of that goes together, because even dogs that were isolated, those dogs had to come from somewhere else before you get a type to isolate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless you just have like this, this dog that is just, totally, what is this, like cut directly off of like Canis familiar, you know what I mean? Something
Yeah.
like that, which would be like a New Guinea singing dog or something along those lines.
Yeah. It just it's funny how when we touch certain things, they become, some people say, lesser than when it comes to working, surviving, or being a more productive dog. Like the Tibetan Mastiffs, they're one of the breeds that are being studied for their performance in high altitude,
Right. Right.
and then they're did not need for oxygen as much or better
Right.
quality oxygen levels because of the high altitude.
Right.
But then I'm sure if we get one from, I don't know, let's say some rich white people got some, they're not going to be able to perform on the same basis as the ones that are in the mountains still performing to this day, what their ancestors have been performing for the past 1,000 years.
For sure. Well, I mean, it's like you taking a Bernese mountain dog into the city of Miami. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And you start breeding those dogs down there. Like,
they're going to
over a
start
period,
performing to their area.
first, they don't have a choice because,
Right,
like I've said in other podcasts, you're dealing with a softer gene animal. Like,
right.
it's like when you think about people putting dogs together, you got to think about this, bro. Like your average dog breeder, buyer, kennel, bro, they have no professional, scientific, biological, genetic background.
No.
They don't. So thinking about this, when these kennel clubs were formed, and then in the 16 to 1800, because that's when a lot of this stuff was happening, as far as like trying to put breeds together and to actually to be breeds.
Yeah.
And then, the 18th century, like, 30s, it took off, like, boom, you know what I mean? And it just went from there. But, again, like I said, these people didn't have any real scientific background, so they couldn't take into account is that when they wrote a standard for a dog, because they're writing a standard for a dog that has been bred in its environment, born, bred, reared, 100% it's an environment.
Yeah.
And so even, that the environments change, it's subtle. Like you go outside and you don't see it, but, the animals, they're deeper connected. They're, your sulfur genes, our genes are harder. They're like in the middle. So humans don't evolve, quickly like that. We don't, you know what I mean? It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, the changes to these breeds were subtle, early on, because a lot of them were still coming up in their environment. They hadn't been imported yet. Some of these breeds are very new, like the goldfish, bro. The goldfish has only been over in the United States for like 200 years, bro. You know what I mean?
It was in China before that.
Well, it was in China. They created it. You know what I mean? Yeah, they created it like 200 AD. You know what I mean? Like they had it that long ago. Then they started giving it to the Japanese for like good luck, and like that's kind of in the 14th century. So, like basically, damn, I lost my train of thought. What did I just say? I forgot that fast because I thought that led me into a whole other thing, and I'm like, let me block that thought out.
Talking about the goldfish.
But what we're talking about before the goldfish, I'm gonna have to smoke to remember.
Smoke.
we were I can't even remember. We were talking about the goldfish. Oh, I remember. So we're talking about them not having your average breeder, buyer, even to this day, doesn't have a professional background in biology, genetics, and things like that. So when they wrote these standards, they couldn't take into account that when they sent the dogs to other places, that the phenotypes would, it would be erratic. You know what I mean? It's like how you did the videos, like there are 4 types of burbles, but it's only one standard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a type, because a type and a breed isn't the same thing.
It's not.
You know what I mean? So, like, that's the thing. Is like, so you send your Dogo Argentino to Japan, where it's like total opposite almost.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you breed them over there for 30, 40 generations, those dogs are going to they'll still be Dogo Argentino. You know what I mean? And we're saying this is not crossing the dogs with anything. You're just breeding them over there. You are going to get, like obviously how they'll be like the American Cane Corso or the American, you're going to get a Japanese phenotype of an Argentine Mastiff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of the environment. But the thing is if you take the Japanese bloodline, oh man, the Japanese got a great Dogo Argentino. You get the dog and then you bring them to Sweden, not to Sweden. Then you bring them to California. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so now you breed them for 10, 20 generations. So now you have an Arizona phenotype, Dogo Argentino. You know what I mean? Because you broke down over now. Unless you're gonna even if you keep getting those dogs from them, because one, if you keep getting them from them, where are they getting their dogs from after a while? You know what I mean? Are they still
Right.
pulling from? Is it a triangle? You know what I mean? Like, are they
Yeah.
pulling from Argentina constantly to breed, and so you're pulling from them constantly to breed to
Right.
keep that line going? Because if they
Yeah.
stop, bringing dogs in, and let's say they have 30 dogs, and they're like, yeah, but only so many of these dogs are usable or viable, and so you've got lines, and so eventually, you know what I mean. It'll be like a closed circuit
Yeah. It
after a
will. Yeah.
while, So how does that go? But and then again, if you sell the dog to me, and then I take it to Hawaii, and I breed them over there for
And
30, 40 years,
you're
it's
using it
gonna
for a certain thing. It's going to be different. It's going
right,
to
and
be
that
totally
too,
different.
right. If
Yeah.
if 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 you if you use them for
So if
ratting,
you're hiking in Japan in the winter with the
right?
dogos,
Yeah, if you
they're going to have thicker fur. They're going to be way
over a
different
period of
from.
time, right? For
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
It'll take some generations, but they won't have a choice. The only
Right.
because here's the thing: they're either gonna adapt or die.
Yeah. That's the only
That's
thing.
it. So you're
Yeah.
gonna know you're doing something right, and they're continuing on, or you're like, man, they keep dying on me.
Right.
You know what I mean? They keep dying on me. They keep dying on
Yeah.
me. Every time I get them, like they'll live like 4 years, but the such and such around this time, like I've noticed. So clearly, it's something in the environment that the dog is just not. It's just not clicking, and maybe it'll never
Right.
click. You know what I mean?
Oh, let me ask you a question though. So we're kind of getting at with I mean you have an experience with the bigger dogs. Your type of presser isn't necessarily going to be 150 160 pounds, but you have some experience with the bigger dogs. So why are we seeing that in bigger dogs of them dying at 3 years old or not lasting that long when it comes to life expectancy and lifespan?
Well, I think I can speculate on some things. I think a lot of people, or a decent amount of people, when they get a dog that they know is going to be big, I think there is a percentage of those people, and I've seen it, where they're just like, they just feed the fuck out of it. Because
Yeah.
they think like, oh, it's a big dog, he needs to eat this much. Or
Right.
they may have been told that. Because a lot
Yeah.
of breeders, like I just said, that your average breeder, it doesn't have no biological background. He's not even a nutritionist
Right.
for humans or canines.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if he
Yes. He has no
was,
base level of
right,
nutrition at all.
if he was, then you wouldn't do certain things and not do certain things. You
Right.
know what I mean? So when that comes into play, like you're being told something and then you're going to do it, and so then that's what you do, what the person you just spent $5,000 with told you to do, because that's what
Right.
makes sense
Yeah.
to you.
Because
Because I just
they
paid
bred the
right.
dog also. Right.
Right. So you see, and if you don't really know what you're looking at, you know what I mean? When let's say like you go to somebody's house, right? Like I
Mm.
saw somebody ask somebody, like, when you go look for a dog, what is the first thing you look for? And everybody says the same shit.
Say
Everybody
size,
says
color.
this. Well, no, before the first they say well, what's the first thing you look for when you go to buy a dog? The first thing most people say is temperament. That's the
Yeah.
first thing people are like, temperament.
Yeah.
You ask me that, I don't give a fuck about that dog's temperament. I don't give a
Yeah.
shit about that dog's temperament. What good is a dog temperament if he ain't worth shit? Man, that dog's got a great temperament, bro, but he got AIDS.
Yeah.
Because there is
When you look at it like
a
that, yeah.
canine and feline AIDS, people. So I'm not just saying that to be funny. I mean, I'm saying it to be funny, but it's also true. But you know what I mean? Like, he got health
Yeah.
issues. But he showed he loved them kids. I'm gonna name him
Right.
Martin because he loved the kids. You know what I mean? But this nigga's he's not even gonna make it a year. So
Yeah.
temperament is not really even on my list of things, because
So what's first, structure?
no, man.
No.
The environment. I don't give a fuck about that dog.
That's yeah.
Don't care about that dog.
Right.
I don't give a shit about that dog until I have a conversation with you. You know what I mean? That's the most important thing to me, because
Yeah.
the conversation is going to let me know. You know what I
Right.
mean? Then, okay, now let me see these dogs.
Yeah.
And I still don't care about the temperament, because what you were doing when you were 7 years old, bro. Like you know, people carry over things that they like for sure, but you're
Mm-hmm.
not gonna do everything. Like you grow up, you know what I mean?
Right.
Temperaments change. Like you could be gangbanging, hardcore, like you know what I mean, and then
Yeah.
get shot 8 times, and next thing you
It
know,
just
boy,
it flip everything.
you know, man, you flip. So your whole temperament. So like
Yeah.
so like I said, so for me, temperament don't matter. Like I'm not saying I want a crazy dog, but I'm saying like that's the last thing I look for because you could send me a dog. I mean, he's kind of out of control where he's this, he don't listen. Da da da
But
da.
he's a puppy.
I'll get him together. Don't worry. And
Yeah.
see me, I like older dogs. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I like
Mm-hmm.
older dogs, six
Why is
months
that
old
though?
and up. I mean,
Why?
I just don't. I don't like wasting time with like. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll
I
take
get
like
it.
an F2 off something, but I'll need to see something.
Right.
I need to see like six months is a good age for me to see something. You know
Start
what I
showing
mean? Like
flashes.
because I look at it like this, like if I'm coming to you to buy something, you know, I must think like, you know, he's got something there that I want to take a look at. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so, you know, my first question is, do you have any older dogs
Mm.
or any older bitches? That's what I want to know.
Right.
And so, like, that's where it starts with me. I want to see the environment because here's the thing: like, if you selling me a Pressa or you selling me a, you know, something, whatever it is, I don't care what it is. If you said that this dog is a companion or this dog is a hog catcher, this dog's a bird dog, he's this, and that's what I'm there looking for, then I need to, I need to see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I need to see
Yeah.
the environment. Like you can't tell me this dog is constantly. Now, don't get me wrong. I got guys who live out like in the suburbs, and they do take their dogs out to go and like work,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
as much as they can. But that's not everybody. You know what
No.
I mean?
No. Yeah.
And these particular people have also spent a lot of time like with their dog. But you know, you can't be like you can't buy a hog dog, some hog like this is what happens. This is what happens, right? Motherfucker will be like, oh, I need the best Pressa, I need the best Corso, I need the
Yeah.
best Pit Bull, I need the best Burble. So they go when they get what they are told to be think is the best, maybe because of the price or the name or the followers, whatever the reason is. It's they are convinced that this is the best dog, right? And they could say like, you know, we hunt hogs with these dogs, right? And so they buy this dog, right? They buy the dogs.
Mm-hmm.
But then they live in like, you know, uptown, Northwest DC
You
with these
live in
hog,
Chicago.
right, with these dogs that they say are off hog lines. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so now they got these dogs and now they want to breed these dogs, right? So they want to breed these dogs, but they're not doing nothing with these dogs. So this is where the problems arise.
It's gonna make a difference within the bloodline.
Well, it's going to make a difference within the bloodlines. It could make a difference within the canine laws because you got some dogs in the city that's supposed to be catching hogs.
Yeah. They're gonna catch something else at some point.
And the owners literally bought these dogs because they were like, oh, on the internet, like, I want to get a dog and I can afford it. Like, oh, let me look. Oh, that dog looks cool. Da 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 da. Like, bow.
Right.
I'm like, oh. You know what I mean? Where they say you got the best. So I do have the best if you're looking for a dog to actively hunt hogs with or to actively do bird, whatever. You know what I mean? Now, if you need a companion dog, they got a whole class of them too. But you see, that's the thing is like anybody can get whatever they want. Like if you live in like, you know, people want cobras. If you live in particular states or if you can convince them to give you a permit, you can get that shit. Now, that don't mean you should have that shit, but you can get it.
Right.
So it's the same thing, but dogs is, you know, it's a lot easier in most cases. Like, canines are very easy. That's why it's like it's so fucked up now because over the years, all those guys who were like really in the girls who were women, guys and gals who were really in it, they kind of already fell off. Now I don't want to say fell off, but either they did fall off or they don't do this shit anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now you got a whole new wave of people in, but it's on a whole totally different level now. Like it has really nothing to do with the dogs or you know or the reptiles, anything, because all this shit is in peril right now. But yeah, that's what you're dealing with, bro. It's like he said, you know, feed the dog this much, so that's what I'm gonna do. I see people with puppies and dogs are overweight all the time. But in
Yeah.
their mind, this dog is, he's on point.
Right. He's a
You know what
tank.
I mean?
Yeah.
So
I just seen a Borble. I think it said 2 weeks, 14 pounds.
yeah, I
Said
mean,
it's
and the thing is, it's like you soft genetics is just what it is. It's like with anything, it doesn't matter when we're talking about genes in general. Whatever you put in, you are going to get out at some point.
yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? But when you're line breeding and inbreeding, you're definitely going to get it. Humans are
Right.
outcross. All we do is outcross, unless you're like
That's it. Yeah.
some elite or somebody in like West VA or somewhere around there, and they just you know what
Yeah.
I mean, or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, so humans are outcrossed. So
Right.
after like 7 outcrosses where you're not even related to them dudes that it started with, those,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Whereas you're inbreeding and line breeding, so like I said, you're definitely going to see some of that stuff for
Right.
sure. Which is the purpose. They're trying to hold on to it. Because if you just outcross your dogs, you get a good dog here, good dog there, may not see nothing for 2-3 years, good dog
Right.
here, couple dogs here, da 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 da, and then eventually, like, nobody's gonna really talk about you unless you just got some kind of gimmick where you can just keep, maybe you switch breeds, because I see guys doing that. They'll
I do.
switch
Yeah.
breeds,
Yeah. Some
which is more
people
something
switching breeds.
I commonly see that more. That's something more of like in the reptile world that I see. Because with dogs, I mean, it's harder to get rid of 20, 30 dogs. But, I mean, it's possible, though. Obviously, like,
You laying them things down.
well, that too. But that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like I said, it's easier. It's an easier pet trade to be in, because, like I said, you don't really have to be there to make it happen.
Right.
Now, to get your program running, you got to be meticulous and write things and do your diet and hopefully, if you can, provide the correct environment. But ultimately, I can put 2 dogs in the backyard and they'll fuck, and then I'll get some puppies and I can sell them.
Right.
And I can say they're the best. And if I get the right picture or the right moment online, like, boom, my followers are going to go up. So then I'm going to sell these dogs. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and so that's what you got to deal with right now, bro. Like, motherfucker don't want to buy a good dog necessarily.
Girl said they're giving them away for free if they're trying to get rid of the yard.
Right. Well, yeah, that too. You see a lot of that. Well, the pet trade is declining hard. You know what I mean? Like, people don't want to admit it, but it is. Like, honestly, like, people probably should stop breeding everything. Like, honestly, because what's coming. I mean, dogs, man. There's not too many breeds that have even made money. There's only a couple breeds that have even made a profit, and that's just happened recently. You know what I mean? Whereas like reptiles, like there's big money in reptiles and exotics in general. Domestics. Well, not all exotics, but some exotics. But domestics are. It's all about the products, because that's like the big, like in the reptile world, you want to really make money. You're not going to make money necessarily selling and breeding snakes and frogs and shit. I'm not saying that you can't. You'll make more than you will doing dogs, but if you want to make money in the reptile world, you're going to have feeders. You make more money selling roaches than anything else, crickets than anything else, mealworms. You could be a millionaire. Like, legit,
right.
you
That's
can be
the production off of the reptiles. It's not even reptiles itself. That's just producing things that benefit to the reptiles.
Yeah, I might do a $5,000, $10,000 export from Indonesia and get, that's a lot of snakes depending on the species.
Yeah.
At those prices, at those farm prices, and that I might get 200-300 snakes come in here, and maybe 50% of them move immediately. You know what I mean? But then the other ones, I got to sit on them. I might sit on them snakes for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, a year. I got snakes that we produced in 2021, whole litters of boas. Bro, we ain't sold one.
Yeah.
Not that I've been hardcore advertising, but at the same time, I have put shit out there. People will be like, oh, I'm looking for that. And then they'll go buy it from someone else. Why? Because, one, obviously, like, people in the reptile community think that they're like real bloodlines there. And and me, I'm like, there's no real bloodline, so I don't promote that.
Yeah.
I'm actually like, bro, that's bullshit. Like that's a gimmick, bro. There's no real reptile bloodlines. All that shit is outcrossed and inbred. So and it's not even that's not even done right. So
right.
A lot of them, they need in the end to have that value because I don't support like mutations and things like that. And I'm like, how, okay, put it like this. And like if me and you are first time breeders, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a pit bull and I got a pit bull and we breed the dog. This is why I want to explain the situation this way to make it make more sense. This is our first time ever breeding dogs, animals ever in for any time. And so, but we pay $1,500 each for these dogs, right?
Yeah.
And then we turn around and have a litter of 8 puppies, and then we try to sell them for $2,500. Don't nobody know us. We're not, you know what I mean? We haven't done anything. Now these are good dogs, though. I'm not saying they're bad dogs. These are decent dogs.
Right.
But these are F1 no name American.
I'm saying we ain't got no presence. We ain't got no presence in the game at all.
Like I said, nothing. But
that's tough.
Right. So as a reptile person, that's literally how the whole reptile game is. It's all about like names and things like that. So these people are like, oh, I just got 2 wild caught snakes in and I bred them. And now I have some USCBB babies and I'm going to sell them for 3 times the amount of what I paid for them. Right. And my name is so-and-so and so. And so when they sell the animal, like you don't see this in the dog world. You never see, it'll just be like Presa Canario puppies, American Pit Bull Terrier puppies, because you already know who you're calling. Reptile, it's like if somebody is selling something, it'll be like so-and-so boa produced by ba-da-da-da-da, 1997 or 2021 produced by ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. And, this person's only experience is in breeding reptiles. And like I said, don't get me wrong, breeding reptiles is a way more complicated and arduous process than almost any mammal. You know what I mean?
Would you give the breeder a little leeway just because they...
Well, in some cases, yes. Yeah. But they're doing this shit strictly for...
the money.
The fame. No, it's not even for the money. Most of the they want to make money. Don't get me wrong, but most of these people have money.
Yeah,
they may not be good with the money, but reptiles are expensive, bro. They outweigh any canine price. You
gotta have temperature stuff and whatnot, don't you? It's a lot with it.
Well, I mean, it just depending on. You have species of snakes alone that, because of certain people have them, and they're not even being produced regularly, that are selling for $15,000 to $25,000 just for one. Okay. And that's not even to house this animal. You need a room like this. You know what I mean? So, and that's going to cost you another, $1,000, $2,000, and that's you doing the work yourself. Now you're going to. Right. So it just depends. You could easily spend $40,000 on one snake.
That's one. A lot of people don't even make that a year.
I can go buy 4 dogs, kennels, pins, everything I need for less than $40,000.
And that's some people don't even do that. They'll put them on a chain spot, little barrel, and
and I got 4 dogs. I said, I got 1 snake for $30,000, and I need another one to do anything. And plus, then I gotta wait. If this snake is not mature, then I have to wait 5 to 6 years to even do anything with it. And I'm still not guaranteed shit, because here's another thing. This is something you really don't run into. Sometimes you do. You have bitches that just don't want to be bred. But you have compatibility issues. So let's say you spend $100,000 on 2 snakes, and then this bitch don't even like the male snake that you got. What the fuck do?
You just out of the money.
Because you think you're going to turn around and sell that animal?
Right.
You think how long it's going to take you to sell it? Now there's this exact species of snake that I'm talking about. There's 3 snakes that have been on the market for damn near 2 years because nobody's going to buy them. So you're just sitting on this animal. So, but yeah, man. But it's all about these guys. They'll breed something one time, and da 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 da. I need this, this, and this, and it's off of so and so. And I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, bro. But I'm like, how, bro? Like he just got those snakes. He bred them. We've been breeding green tree pythons since 1979. Big deal. Like it's
yeah,
not a big deal anymore. Like it's not. And don't get me wrong. It's not hard to breed reptiles. But it is expensive to do it the
right.
right way. Now, you can cut corners like you see people doing, and you can keep your animals, and you can really show that you don't give a fuck about them. You know what I mean? Like, that's how the majority of keepers are. But, in the dog world, it's harder to get away with stuff like that because it's been structured for too long. You can't just come in and be like, well, you didn't used to be able to. Now you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, there's people now that's being kind of like looked at as one of the big dogs. They bred lines and whatnot, never health tested, never hip tested anything, and just producing. Like so what am I paying money for when we're not putting the money into insure a dog with great structure, a dog with um that will produce a clean line of healthy dogs.
I mean,
But people,
how can you expect them to do that when I mean how can you expect them to do that when even the thought of health insurance or putting their dog on their homeowner's insurance is a problem? But then how
yeah,
can you expect them to do that when a lot
they
of
won't
these
even do.
guys will buy, this is the thing, bro. Like you see people who are automatically like, I'm gonna make money selling dogs.
Breed dogs, yeah,
I
I know,
never
yeah,
done this. I never done this shit before. You know what I mean? But I seen motherfuckers selling these Frenchies for $5,000. He don't even know that a French bulldog ain't even from France. But
right,
doesn't matter. Doesn't even
yeah,
he doesn't matter because like he sees the chicks going crazy over the dogs. He sees them in the videos. They're online. So comes in and he just buys dogs. He starts breeding them. He starts selling them, and then people start buying them. And then all of a sudden, he ends up at a dog show. But the
mm,
dog show isn't like it used to be, and I think maybe that's why some people are having problems with it, or maybe because like AKC did some shady shit for sure. I mean, but they've been shady. Like, yeah, they let you register all those fake French bulldogs, and now like after they made so much money, they wanted to like crack down on it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So people see that and don't understand it because these other people who are buying this average person that started as a buyer who became a breeder doesn't understand that. It doesn't care about that. The thing is now is not only can I make money off the dog, but the dog can make me money on my social media. So
bro, you ain't lying, bro.
nobody,
I know somebody's built a brand off of a mixed dog, but they had him AKC registered, built their whole line and platform off of him, but he was not what he was supposed to be or what he was presented as. You're not lying, bro. That paper hanging stuff is real.
how can you promote healthy animals and health testing when either you have totally avoided a standard? The standard, don't get me wrong, right? Like, listen, I think that maybe some breeds should have two standards, like maybe a working standard and a show standard for some, just to maybe appease some people. And maybe that's a reach, just because at the same time, I just think a lot of people have forgotten and just started disrespecting the show
Yeah,
because maybe a lot of clowns are at the show now. But don't get it wrong, the show is the reason you got dogs. The show
right.
is saving you. So you
Yeah,
can talk shit about the dog show all you want, but if it wasn't for the dog show, they would have stopped this shit a long time ago. I promise you that.
right.
Because AKC, see, motherfuckers be in this shit, bro, but they don't. This is why motherfuckers really can't fuck with me on this animal shit, is because niggas don't even really know the history of the history of the history of this shit. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you know your pit bull, but that's just the dog, nigga. That dog don't mean shit in the
right.
grand scheme of things. There's hundreds of breeds. There's breeds of dogs you never even fucking heard of and you never gonna hear of. Like we just said, this shit that don't even leave countries, this shit that ain't even been documented that exists that you don't know about.
Right.
So we're talking about breed history and capabilities and why people actually did what they did, not why you speculate on what they did. Because if you didn't research it, how are you going to sit up and say, oh, well, it was a bunch of rich motherfuckers with their dogs who got together? Well, I'm sure it was. You got to have money to do anything. But who was really funding and who buys the dogs? There are less rich people buying dogs than there are people who can't afford these fucking dogs.
Right.
And it's always been like that. Because people, you can have a dude, we're talking about in the Middle Ages, like even back then, in those times, in any country, in any time period, you have a guy come home or he's with a dog, and it's like they say, dog is man's best friend. You domesticated this animal between 14 and 20,000 years ago. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of happened and it propelled forward. So it would only make sense. But of course, when elites or people who have money see things, they don't do it with just dogs. They do it with everything. They do it with people. They do it with plants. They do it with, with anything. They take it and then so they make it like, oh, well, we're going to make it exclusive. But where most of the time rich people were getting their fucking dogs were from farmers who didn't have money, who were poor. You know what I mean? These were the ones who were breeding and working the dogs, so people don't understand this shit. They just be talking out their mouth like, oh, da-da-da-da-da, and it's associated with this. Like I said, you can't start nothing. It's very hard to start businesses without money. I started businesses with none of my own money, but I still needed money to do it. I just figured out how to use other people's money. You see what I'm saying? So for people to like try to clown the show these days, I'm like, bro, the show, they're the reason you got insurance. They're the reason you could put your dog on your health insurance. The show, they're the ones who called in and were like, hey man, we want to get insurance. That's why every insurance company has it. You don't see that shit for reptiles. Why? Because ain't nobody calling in. It's a lot of rich. Look, it's more rich motherfuckers playing with exotic animals than playing with dogs and cats. Trust me.
That makes sense.
We spend more on setting shit up and breaking shit down in a month for the same animals than you do on a dog. Because a motherfucker get a kennel, throw some shit back there, and then motherfucker don't even walk their dogs, some of these people. Their dogs live in a kennel 80-90% of their life.
Right. You
know what I mean? So that's damn near like these animals. They could probably get more out time than some people's dogs. But like stuff is expensive. Like getting driftwood, and me, I go out and forage, but everybody doesn't want to do that. So people will pay. But you see that big log? I don't know if you can see it. That big log. I mean, I lugged that back from the mountains. That whole thing, I built that, bro. That's like 7 different parts of a tree that I broke down, put nails in it, and then screwed it back together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I really do this shit. But motherfucker will pay $4,000 or $5,000 for something like that to put in there. Like, people don't be, it's a lot, and that's just one setup. Right. You know what I mean? So, plus the animals that got to go in there. Then some people, bro, and that's nothing, bro. This is simple. You got some people, I have way more elaborate shit in here, but you have guys who are building entire, like, paludariums for a frog that's this big that lives in there by itself. This motherfucker got a thing the same size as that. You know what I mean? And it's got a waterfall and living plants and fucking bird sounds for a frog that cost him $5, and he spent $400 on a setup. Yeah. But that's dedication and passion. He's not a breeder. He doesn't want to breed. He just wants to enjoy the animal in the best fucking environment he can give me, trying to replicate it. Right. Even for a frog that he's not even going to do anything with, because why? He wants the animal to feel as at home and comfortable as possible, because that's the only way you're going to be able to observe the animal's natural behavior. Right. So how can I observe your dogs? That's why I don't give a fuck about the temperament, because he can have a great temperament, but he's not in the environment. So you're trying to sell me a hog dog out of a condo. Nigga, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And then, like you said, though, even not being, even just staying in the kennel, if it's not in its environment, its temperament can't be shaped.
Right.
Temperaments can be shaped by its environment. You can hear a gunshot, and then he'd be scared the rest of his life. Whenever you hear a loud bang, there's different things that play factors in that into the temperament. So I agree with you on that. That definitely was a great statement. Let me
Yeah.
ask you this though. So you get what was you about to say? What was you about to say?
I don't even remember. I
Okay.
forgot.
So say you start a line. Let's a line of dogs. Um Crossbred, inbred, purebred, whatever. 20 years ago. So health testing isn't really a big thing. Hip hip test, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was there at the time. You just didn't do it. Um DNA tests, even, you didn't really do it. And then now we're 10 years later, 5 years later, 20 years later. You have the dogs, you have poor structures, um, bad health, bad genetics. What are you doing with this line of dogs?
I mean, fuck, were you trying? I mean, how bad is it? I mean, like, yeah. How bad is it? I mean, because if it's too far gone, and like it's like, how many dogs do I have? Because if you
So you
let,
got
if it went,
10
if
dogs.
it,
You got 10 dogs.
I got 10 dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, what is exactly is wrong with the line?
Uh, let's say we get real bad hip dysplasia. Um, bad teeth. Teeth falling out 5, 6 years old. Um, skin issues. We got some skin issues. Some
See, all that sounds recessive.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, I'm probably gonna trash that shit.
You just gonna just deplete. You gonna just delete the
Yeah,
whole line, huh?
yeah. I mean, what am I gonna do with it? I can't.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I mean, that would be for me to for one. That would be fucked up for the animals. It would be a
Right.
waste of my time and money. And then, I mean, it would just, as far as me selling those dogs to people. I mean, because hip dysplasia. I mean, you're gonna see some shit. You said
Yeah.
skin issues and teeth issues. So yeah, I mean, I'm basically selling you I'm selling you a straight vet bill. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, it would make sense for everybody. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because what are you gonna do? Go to now you be in court nonstop. People trying to sue you nonstop. Like
Right.
you know,
So what do you think about pedigrees? Do you think paperwork is important? I hear a lot of people say it's not important. You need to look at the dog that's right in front of you. It doesn't matter about what happened back then or what dogs were what they were back then.
I mean, it's a record, but I don't think that. I mean, the dogs make the papers. To me, the paper
Yeah,
don't make the dog because I've had some dogs that on paper, yeah, but in reality,
they
they
weren't
didn't.
that.
Yeah, they didn't do nothing. So,
Hmm.
God damn, this thing about having fucking reptiles in here. Damn. But anyway, yeah. So I think paperwork is, it's nothing. I'm not against having paperwork. I think at this point in time, let me say this, like if I were to, like if I had a choice between a dog that, so if you offer me the same dog, like this exact same dog, one's got papers, one doesn't have papers, but it's the same dog, hypothetically.
Hmm.
Would I take the dog with or without papers? In a situation like that, then it really it wouldn't matter. So I just take the dog with papers because it's the same dog, and I know that. But if you offered me a dog that didn't have papers, but he was the better dog, and I could DNA test him now, like at this point in time, and let's
Hmm.
say, but both of the dogs were purebred, but the other dog with papers just wasn't the better dog.
Yeah.
Now I'm not gonna take that dog, no matter what's on those papers. I'm gonna
Okay.
take the dog that doesn't have papers
Okay.
because one, if you were really serious about your dogs, you can eventually get your dogs papered.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some incentives and some things like that. Some stuff you got to do, but it's possible. It's not easy. You're not just going to be like, hey, but you would think. I think, to be honest, I think dogs without papers, if they got a DNA test, that they should be allowed into registries under maybe like a different section, because you got dogs with papers that don't. That totally go against standards, and we're talking about like color-wise and things like that, and they're registered.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
What's the difference?
Right.
If you've got a great dog, because papers can get lost for different reasons and shit like that. So, I feel like if the dog tests out, put him through some trial tests, and if everything is legit, why not start a new, like, okay, then we'll start from zero with this dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'll be like a Corso subsidiary, whatever, to AKC or FCI or whatever, whatever the registry might be.
Right.
But I think so because, like I said, papers don't really mean shit if the dog, okay, wow, here's the thing, you got great papers, the dog looked good, but then he's not really good, or the dog is this, or whatever. So then what? If the dog matches the papers, that's great, but that's not always going to be the case. But most dogs aren't ever going to get put to work. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
So in that sense, because a lot of guys are like paperwork, but then the dogs just be at their house.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You don't even be doing shit with the dog. So
right.
Like, yeah, but he got that paperwork. Like I had an American Bully that I bought from Craigslist when I was back home in D.C. It was a tri dog, and it was like a triple bred. I can't remember the dog, but the dog, when I looked it up on YouTube, the dog was like famous. Like everybody, I think it was a Dax. I think it might have been a Dax, but I'm not for sure. So don't quote me on that name because I don't know. But I bought the dog for $500. A blue tri, had skin problems. Beautiful dog. Motherfucker couldn't walk a quarter mile though. You know what I mean? Like dumb as hell, dumber than a box of rocks in a moron's pocket. You know what I mean? So, but traffic stopper for sure. But the dog, and he had papers. He had 2 sets of papers. He had UKC papers that said he was a pit bull, and then he had ABKC papers that said he was American Bully. So, but it was a female. I'm sorry, but yeah, ears cropped, and they were just breeding the hell out of this dog, and so yeah, it was crazy because my landlord tried to steal that dog. I think I might have told that story somewhere.
I think you did.
But yeah, so that dog right there, like if in the American Bully world, like that dog was money. So I guess to somebody looking at it like that, like I wanted to just see what the fucking hype. It was a pocket dog. It was a pocket bully. Because I've had standard bullies before that were really nice, like the original joints. But it was a pocket joint, and yeah, man, it had, you could tell it had like an English bulldog body. You know what I mean? And it had like the nice, but it was a beautiful looking dog. But like I said, the dog wasn't worth. This dog didn't even want to go outside and go to the bathroom. So yeah, so like right then, I just gave the dog away. But yeah, on paper, that was another dog that I had. They were like, yeah, man, if you could breed this dog, if you could get her to breed, I think they had bred her so much that she couldn't even breed anymore. But because the guy that I gave her to, he took her to the vet, and they said something, And so, but I was like, yeah, on paper, they were like, yeah, that dog, you could make a lot of money around this dog.
Okay. Duro said it's easier to hide what the dog is if you don't have papers.
Yeah, that's true for sure. But then at the same time, like, where did you get that DNA test from for a DNA? Like which dog did you take it from? That it's everything's got its ups and downs. Like I said, I'm not against paper. I just think that if the paper, you're gonna come with paper, then I need that shit to match. Right. You know what I mean? Like I really need it to match. Like don't tell me, like, man, every dog on here caught hogs, and then I get this motherfucker. He catch a
Mhm.
cold and died. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I'd
Like
be mad. Yeah, I'd be
so,
mad.
because yeah,
I
it's
do.
like with canines, man. You know, there's I think I have a when I buy a dog or even like a horse, something like that, like a performance animal, like I have a lot of expectations. You know what I mean? Whereas like when I buy a reptile, like I have expectations. Like I don't expect when I buy a dog that it's gonna die on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Within like a week of me getting it. But I just got one last private import in of 4 snakes, and 3 of them died on me within a week. And I got one
Mm.
left over there. I got one left, and I'm just playing the waiting game with that one at this
Yeah.
point because he stopped eating. But that's the name of the game, and I
Wow.
know that. That's why you gotta have money to be in exotic animals because
Right.
that's just hundreds of dollars down the drain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other, I imported like over a dozen of those snakes this year, and all the Asian ones they all dropped out on me. You know what I mean? And very few people have had like success with them. Now my South American stuff is doing great. You know what I mean? Like no problem. But so will I bring those snakes back again and bring them back in from the wild? And probably not. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because that's not fair to them. You know what I mean? At some point, humans have to stop acting like God. You know, that God complex. Of like,
Right.
but some people, they don't care. They'll still bring them in. Like right now, like there's some for sale. Great price. Not what I really would want to pay for them because it's retail. And I don't like paying retail for shit. But I'm like, man, but I don't want to get them because then I get them. And so, stick with stick with what it makes sense is if I got another species that's thriving, that's where my focus needs to be. Because
Yeah.
I don't want to keep pulling animals. See, it's not like with a dog, you got all these breeders. But my source of animals is the wild. That's a whole nother level of thinking and process right there. Right? They got to go in and find these animals. They call me back like, we can't find them. So then that means I don't get them. I can find a presser. I might not be a good one, but I can't
But you
got
can
no
find one.
problem finding a presser.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I got snakes in here. The reason why is because no one has brought them in enough and worked with them enough to, to get them established to even really know what or how to do with them. So at this point,
Right.
you're playing a money game. You don't buy puppies and be like, man, this motherfucker might die on me in 3 weeks. You don't think that, and that
You don't
rarely
think that at all.
happens. That's not the
You
average.
looking at what you
Right,
about to boot them to already.
right. That's not your
Man.
average, right? That's not the average situation with canines.
Right.
So you know what I mean. That's rarely do you deal with that. We're like, yeah, you might get some shit that's like, man, I bought this dog or da 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 da. I think a lot of times, in most cases, but not all, I think if you've been breeding 5+ years the same dogs, if your dog's got any kind of issues at that point, I think you know it.
Yeah.
Whether you saying it or not, I think that you
Right.
know it.
Yeah.
Because and I'm saying majority. You have some people who just really just don't pay attention and just really don't care. You know what I mean? Like they really just like, man, I just got them. And my son went to college and left them, and they just be in the back breeding, having puppies and shit. You know what I mean? Because that's
The
reality.
money was good.
So
Yeah.
different situations.
Hmm. I want to ask you about this. I'm gonna speak a little piece on it, but some people. I feel like some people look at dogs being watered down as something new, something uncommon, something unregular. But it has happened in history. But there's still dogs being used for what they were bred for, or even exceeding that. And some breeds have been preserved, excuse me, through being either watered down or their purpose being changed. Um, Say for instance, the American Pit Bull Terrier. Of course, we don't fight them anymore. Some people do illegally, which I don't respect it, but they're not. Their main purpose isn't fighting anymore. They're not being used for it, and they
Not
still
over
withhold.
here. Yeah,
Not
not
over
over
here,
here.
right?
Yeah, but
Right.
in some countries, you're good to go.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, but they still withhold their traits. They still withhold their gameness and whatnot. Um, Another example, the Caucasian Ovcharka. That dog is still a monster. Being used in prisons in Russia and killing prisoners regularly. Like it's to where they're just like, oh yeah, he got another one. We still gonna use him though. And then there's some way back bloodhounds. They were watered down. Cuban bloodhounds were watered down after slavery wasn't was banned, and they couldn't be slave catching dogs anymore. They were watered down. I'm trying to think of another breed that was watered down. I can't think right now. Uh, it'll come to me in a minute. But what do you think about certain dog breeds being watered down today, or even being called watered down?
I mean, that's with anything. If you're not going to keep it up, I think the reason the pit bull, and in most cases, is still what it is because it's people are still using it for what it was used for.
Yeah.
You know, I think in most cases that's what's happening, and so in other cases where you see dogs that are not being used and for whatever it is, then you're going to see those genetics start to go dormant somewhat. Like it's going to be what it is, but it's going to be less of what it is.
Right.
So yeah, but that's with anything. Like I said, if you don't use it, you lose it. Like that's with anything, bro. Like yeah, like languages. Perfect example, bro. Like I don't speak near as much Spanish, Portuguese as I should or as I used to because I grew up in an environment where they was like, yeah, I ain't trying to hear that shit. On that side of my family, they're like, we don't appreciate that on this side. So so that's what happens. Now,
right.
Obviously, I could go and relearn and and pick up more, and I have over the years. So that's the same thing. You can pick it back up, but yeah, I think anything is going to get watered down after like I said, you take it out of its environment. Like even my Cobra, the first year here from Africa, he was like, no, bro, I'm not going. But
right.
Cobra, he's intelligent. He figures out. He's like, man, there's clean water in here. There's all different types of food in here. Some of this shit I've never even had. Like, but I like it. And after a while, he starts to build up a tolerance. And then he's, then that second year, it gets a little bit easier to handle. He doesn't hood up as much. And now we're going into the year 4. And, this thing is probably the tamest animal, one of the tamest animals I have in here now. Because over time, he's realized nothing in here is trying to kill him anymore. Whereas in Africa, everything is trying to kill you because it's Africa. That's why they always say that African species of mammals and reptiles were way more defensive and high strung than the Asian or the South American. Because Africa is it's crazy. You got rhinos, hippos, elephants, giraffes, tigers, leopards, everything, big cats, little cats, crocodiles, snakes, other snakes, and cobras are snake eaters. So you have, and then you have humans. So everywhere they turn, so and here's an animal that come to me at 8.5 feet. Nigga, do you know what it takes to get to that size in that environment that I just described? That's why I be laughing when people be saying shit to me about dogs. I'm like, nigga, stop playing with me. Like, bro, you've never been around. I don't care how aggressive your dog is. Like, in most cases, either you have put that dog on a level to be that way, or that dog has some mental issues.
Right.
Like, you've never really been around a defensive animal.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about a domesticated animal that you turn on and off. Whereas this animal, you encounter a king cobra in the wild, and let's see how well you do.
Different. Yeah, that's different.
But you think snakes, people think snakes are stupid. A lot of people, especially dog people who've never been around them, they don't understand how intelligent species of reptiles that I got a tree monitor. He escapes 5 times every day. You know what? You know why? Because I can't figure out how the fuck he's getting out of here.
Yeah.
Every day. Before I came in here, he was up in the curtains. I almost just
Yeah.
at this point, like I just get sick of catching him. Like I can show you. He's like a fucking Houdini. You know, it's crazy. Every tree monitor that I've had, they're escape artists. And once
Mm,
they figure it out one time, they don't stop.
that's crazy.
And if he could get through this window, that nigga would be gone. He'd be
Yeah.
gone. To him, he's like Indonesia's out there, but it's really
Right.
not. You know what I mean? But he's
Yeah.
smart enough to know every day. Like he'll eat, I'll put eggs in there, quail eggs, the nigga make sure he eats, suns himself. All right, let me get the fuck up on out of here. I hear him in here. I don't even get up anymore.
Yeah.
I plugged up, like, bro, like, the only places I can think, I'm like, how are you doing it? Because I'm like, if you're getting out of here, then you might slide into Brother Lynch's cage. And if you slide in there, it's a wrap. Because that's going to be the last cage you get in and out of. You won't come out of that one.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because once he gets a hold of you, it's over. I've had snakes get out in here, other snake eaters, and know that there's snakes in here, and go in the hole that feeds his wires, and he'll eat them. You know, like, shit happens. But we're talking, and this thing's got venom. So we're talking about a king cobra, full size king cobra. We're talking about 12 to 17 feet. Extremely intelligent, all about movement. Like a dog, it's so easy to fend a dog off. I mean, you can let a dog bite you. That's the best way. Take that one hit. You're gonna take one hit from a king cobra? Nah, bro, you don't want to take a hit from a venomous snake.
Yeah.
Because not only can he wrap you up, he's gonna outthink you. Nigga, you're in the jungle. He's been here. He's evolved here. His whole genetic makeup is to this environment. You just a nigga walking around in here. Your snake hook is futile. It's not even gonna help you here. He's too big. I use my hook for every once in a while for them. Me using a hook with this cobra is only gonna get me killed. So you gotta manhandle this snake in the wild in its environment when he's on 100% defensive go mode, and one bite, this nigga can kill you.
Yeah. Bro, you're not lying. I used to show pigs. I took care of pigs.
Man, pigs will fuck you up, man.
When that animal really wants to get you, and you done pissed them off, a 650-pound animal at that, with bone crushing teeth, that's a problem, bro.
Yeah,
and you only got a whip or a pan in your hand. That's a problem.
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough to get it off of you. 650 pounds of pressure on you.
Yeah, those Dylan, you that's what I tell people, get attacked by a wild animal.
Yeah.
And then you get attacked by a dog and see which one.
Right. And that was a domesticated pig. And they still, I mean, it's pressure.
Think about, here's the thing. Think about difference of environment, getting attacked in the winter versus getting attacked in the summer by something. Even then, the animal is still out there roaming around, and you're out there bundled the fuck up, and now you just got attacked.
Right.
In the winter now, so that's a whole different thing.
Food is a little bit more scarce in the winter also. So, I mean that's survival. The animals may be hungry. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of factors that plays into that.
Well, and you cold. You fucked up, and now you're cold.
Yeah.
Cold as shit out there, and you're injured.
Yeah.
Or you're trying to fight off an animal in the cold.
Right.
Like, what's that video where all the boars attack dudes with the rifles? Yeah, you can have all the firepower you want, but in a situation like that, bro, you see, they started running.
Yeah.
They started running. Right. So why do you think these niggas be getting in helicopters? Because, nigga, that's
they ain't about to get on there with them on the ground.
Man, like you gotta outthink them because man, they'll fuck you up. They'll fuck your dogs up too.
Right.
Yeah, you know that's why. What is it? You average. You got like 3 to 5 dogs on a hog, man.
Yeah.
On a big ass fucking hog.
Right.
So imagine one man trying to fight that boar.
You're done. You're done. It outweighs you.
So that's an immense task for a dog to do that. So you know what I mean? So the dogs that do go out there and do that. So that's the thing. It's like, imagine this is what you're looking for, and somebody says they got that, and you buy it from them, and they really don't. or they sold it to you based off of paperwork. Now, it's really your fault, I guess, if you didn't do, you know what I mean? But it just
Mm-hmm.
depends. How did you get there? Maybe you got, there's so many situations. And my problem is I think about all of them because you could have got referred to this guy by somebody, you know what I mean? And so you
Right.
trusted it, or the research showed this was the best place to go, but
Yeah.
it really wasn't. So maybe it was your fault. Maybe you didn't do enough research, or maybe it wasn't in the sense of. But it's so many aspects, so many situations you can put it in. But yeah, if you get that dog and then the dog doesn't perform, like you're gonna be upset.
Right.
You spent money, time, and then most likely you're gonna be like, man, don't buy dogs from so and so, or you see the shit now all the time. It used to just be like chat between breeders. But now, everything's on social media. So
Yeah. That's true. Man, let me see. Let me see what we're gonna talk about next. You posted about this actually. The American Pit Bull Terrier. I think it was a news article, or no, it was a news. It was a news clip of the news. They were talking about some American Pit Bull Terriers that had attacked and mauled a woman.
oh
And
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the mislabeling. I'm kind of fed up with it a little bit. I know Yella, he's one of the guys that hates it. Duro, he's a bully owner and he doesn't like it himself because it just I think it's a detriment to the American Pit Bull Terrier breed. But I want to hear your thoughts and your side of things.
Well, I mean, obviously, we got to look at the history of that dog, especially the American Pit Bull Terrier. That dog has been associated with like poor black people, poor white people, poor Latino people, drug
Yeah,
dealers, criminals, murderers, rapists, all that shit. That's where they tried to peg that dog because the history of dog fighting. But
right.
originally, when they were fighting dogs, majority of the people that were fighting dogs weren't any of those people that I just described. I'm not saying that they weren't doing that too, but
It
when
was
they
rich
were
people. It was
at the
rich people
height
that
of
were fighting.
dog fighting, it was like middle class and up. And
Right.
there were some poor people that had dogs too. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because there were some pits in the UK that were owned by some poorer guys like way back in the
The
day, and
Irish people were too.
that's how they would make money off of their dog by letting
Right.
them use their pits and whatnot.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so that but when the dog transition, but then we're talking about the American Pit Bull Terrier. That's really a different dog than that dog from Europe because that's the name implied that dog has been genetically crossed at some point. That's why it's an American Pit Bull Terrier. Once
Right.
it left from over there, they did something with it over here because anything when you see anything American anything, it's something where
They found something
genetically they
for it. Yeah.
have. Um, so at some point in time when they were bringing the SBTs here and the old family red nose out of Ireland and they said that they had other types of bulldogs that were already over here. I wasn't there. I don't know.
Right.
But they get to this dog that is just extremely like game, as they call it, or athletic, extremely stoic. It's intelligent. It's willing to please. It doesn't make a very good guard dog though.
Yeah.
Because its attention is just so focused in one area. But
Right.
that dog has basically been associated with the things that I said with criminal activity. I've even heard stories of. I remember in the Midwest, I heard this several times of people using their dogs to force women. Usually basically like sexual assault, like with a
Right.
dog. In one or more situations where maybe the dog was being used like a gun, like you're going to do
Yeah.
this, or I'm going to let my dog loose, or the woman was actually like engaging with I've heard all kind of stories
Yeah.
over
Wow.
time involving this dog. So this dog has a very trashy reputation
Yeah.
and it beats up other dogs. You know what I mean?
Right.
For
So
no
you,
reason. So,
it's not gonna be put out there like a golden retriever
right.
or I don't know, a cocker spaniel.
So yeah, that dog. It's easy. You have a lot of states, a lot of counties. Who are like a lot of people who were like, I don't like this dog. I don't want it around. It's dangerous. da 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 da. And ultimately, it is dangerous. Why? Because animals are dangerous.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're like, so we're gonna target this dog, and the best way, like, oh wait, hold on, we can target this dog, but we can also target the community because we don't really like them people there either. So
Right.
we can continue to associate that, and then in most cases that you saw that they presented to you on the news, it was somebody who was not white, and if they were white, they definitely weren't in a position of maybe they were in a impoverished state, basically. So
Yeah.
they were on the same lines as the black people or maybe the Latino people that had these dogs as well. I mean, even in Asian, even in South America, the pit bull is present and has the same reputation in the favela, of being this dog, that is dangerous and that's a bully.
Mm.
So it had even there you still have reports about it, and they're still reported as American Pit Bull Terriers. And I think the media, I'm sure on some end they know that is not an American Pit Bull
They
Terrier,
do.
and then on some end they don't care, and then on some end they
Right.
some of them probably really are ignorant and they really don't know that there is a difference.
Bro, I was on a Facebook group. It was pit bull lovers. And I seen it was a story, like a fake story, AI story, whatever. But it was a picture of American Bully or like a bully mix with this old white man, and it said the pit bull saved the white man. And I was like, that's not a pit bull. That's a bully. I got about 30 comments. That is a pit bull. What are you talking about? I said American Pit Bull Terrier is a different thing than a bully. And they was like, no, pit bull is like a general term for all bull type
Yeah,
dogs.
yeah, a lot of that happened in like the turn of the century. I remember like I remember when I lived in my first year of college in the DMV, mainly in Maryland, in PG County. They had just banned anything with bully in it,
Mm.
and then so that's why David had to move to Virginia because he's from the same. That nigga used to live right down the street from me
Wow. Okay.
when he started creating the American Bully. And so then they
Yeah.
made him, he had to, what I said they made him, but he moved to Virginia, like just right over the line in Virginia to where the dog was legal. Um,
Yeah.
and so, because I was looking at Amstaffs at the time,
Yeah.
because pit bulls were already, under that name, you couldn't own an American Pit Bull Terrier in Maryland at the time anywhere,
Right.
in
Yeah.
any county at the time. And then they raised the ban everywhere except for PG County. Still to this day, you're not supposed to have them.
Mm.
But so, and I couldn't get it because my uncle actually worked for the state. So he was
Oh,
like, "You
okay.
can't." So we drove like 2 hours into Southern Maryland to an Amstaff kennel. Um, Lady had a crazy setup out there, big pens, like big wooden pens out there, 2 dogs in every pen. She had Rottweilers too. She had like 40 dogs out there.
Wow.
Real nice looking dogs, real stocky, short, stocky dog, real nice. I remember. And so we couldn't get it. I was trying to get an SBT or an Amstaff because I knew I couldn't get a pit bull, but that's what I wanted. Because that's
Right.
what I had just had. But my neighbor across the street had pit bulls.
Mm.
Yeah, he had pit bulls. He had
Wow.
4 of them. And so I'm trying to think. See, that was later. So because I had to think about that. I had to backtrack. So, no, because see, that's what happens when you smoke a lot. So the pit bulls, so the Amstaff came before. In 1999, when I came back, when I got kicked out of my house, I came back for college. I had a Corso that I got. It was indirectly from Tony Scandifia. Let me get the days right because I had to really think about this. So the pit bull Amstaff was. We had just bought that house, so that would have been 95. 95.
Okay.
That would have been 95. Okay, yeah, 95. So then 98, I get kicked out of my house.
Mm.
And 98, I get kicked out. And so then I go live at my grandmother's house. And that's when I started buying pit bulls, like, out the ass. Because my brother had them. Like everybody,
Yeah.
like started buying all these pit bulls. But then like it sucked living there. So I was like, yeah, let me get the fuck back to DC. So I couldn't take any pit bulls back with me. So I bought a Corso.
Okay.
The first Corso. This is when I bought that Corso, the story that I told on Battlebred Canine. I bought that Corso, the blue one. And that paperwork was Tony Scandifio. But I didn't get it from Tony. I got it from someone else. And that dog, so this is when I met my neighbor for the first time that had the pit bulls across the street. So, because right after that, I bought a Pressa. But I'm not even sure if it was really a Pressa. But they said it
Okay.
was. But I got it from like a puppy mill. I didn't even know they were a puppy mill until we got there. Bro, they had
I remember you said
Bordeaux's.
that.
Yeah, they had
I
everything.
remember that
They
story.
had everything. So this was around that same time. I used to take the dog to college with me. Chicks would go crazy. Like, oh my God. But yeah, so around that time, like I said, they put that ban into effect. And so I'm like, all right, what about American Bulldog? Nope. What about English Bulldog? Nope. What about Savage? They're like, nothing with bull in it. Bull Mastiff? Nope. Nothing with bull.
Mm.
Couldn't have nothing with bull in it. So I'm like,
Wow.
all right. So I was like, I definitely got to find me a precedent. Like that's what. So at some point, but I started looking, but then that's when I got kicked out and da 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 da. And so when I got back, though, the law was still into effect, but other counties were becoming more lenient about the dog. But at this time, I'd only heard about the American Bully, and it wasn't even called. They weren't even calling it an American Bully, and it was in a Stratton book, and that was a Razor's Edge dog, Razor's Edge throwing knuckles, and that dog was still being presented as an American Pit Bull Terrier.
Mm.
And so I was kind of infatuated with that dog in a way because of how he looked. And I was like, man, that's an awesome looking dog. Like I wouldn't mind having a dog like that. Now, at the time, I didn't even know that was David. You know what I mean? I didn't know then. So fast forward, my brother. Well, no, shit, that's around the same time too, because he's had so many fucking dogs, bro. It's hard to keep up. Because I had a Niggerino dog and he had a Lightner dog at the same time, and we were going to breed them, but due to unfortunate circumstances, it never popped off. But that was a good dog.
Thomas on this for a minute.
Huh?
I thought you went Thomas on this for a minute.
No.
It's somebody they say Igor on their show a lot.
Oh no!
Yeah. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
But yeah. So that I still at that point I didn't recognize or know the American Bully, and the reason I start bringing this up is because I can't say I had or didn't have an interest in the dog because I never even heard of an American Bully. You know what I mean? I never heard of American Bully, even though this dog was said to have been existing in that time.
Okay.
But I bought one by accident, and I wouldn't figure that out until years later. I bought one, and I bought it. So I had this Corso. So when I got kicked out of, so I bought another Corso. And so
which hold on, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
Which one of those you said was like a Rottweiler Neo that you bought it from had Rottweilers and Neo?
All those Corsos that I had were like that back then.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they were all more or less one of the other, just depending on what kennel they came from.
Yeah.
Could have been more Rottweiler, could have been more Neo, could have been more Pit Bull. So I had different styles of them. But I sold one to someone, and they bred the dog, and it was a Belmonte papered dog. I didn't get it from Belmonte, or Belmont, however the fuck it was said. But I sold it to someone, and they bred it, and then they brought me the whole litter to see. Like all the dogs had faults. They were piebald. The whole, but neither of the parents had, like the dog I had didn't have any white. on there at all. And the dog that they had only had little bit of white markings. But back then, a lot of the Corsos had like big patches. So did the Presses. So, but yeah, so I sold that dog, right? And then maybe 2-3 years later, I was in the market looking for a pit bull. And so I went to this guy's house, and he said he had like pit bulls. He said he had a few dogs there. I forget. I can't remember everything. So I go over to the guy's house, and he's got like a yard full of like got 5-month-old, 8-week-old, year. Got all kind of puppies and shit running around. And then I look over, and he got this dog over there, this brindle dog, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually the dog that I just told you that I sold to these people that had this litter. Somehow he ended up with the dog.
Wow.
And yeah. And so I bought a puppy from him, and I thought it was because he was like, yeah, man, I don't have any pit bulls that I think you'd really be interested in, but I got these American bulldogs. And I was like, okay, well, I had American bulldog before. I had a Johnson before. And so I'm like, all right, I fuck with American bulldog. Let me see.
They don't even call him Johnson no more. I don't know why.
What they call him? Jake? What they call him now?
They said Johnson was like a kennel, so that's not a type of bulldog.
Oh,
so I can't even think.
Scott and the JDJ. Well. Far as I know, I had a Johnson D. Johnson.
Right. So you be killing me, bro. Like, it was a Johnson.
So his mama called him Clay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, okay, I fuck with American Bulldog. So he went and he brought these what he said was American Bulldog puppies out. And by this time, like the sun was going down, and I couldn't really see these dogs that well.
Yeah.
But I ended up picking a dog, like, you know, and I didn't even tell him that the dog that he had, the Corso was mine, that I used to own it. I didn't even mention it to him. I told the chick that I was with at the time, though. But, so I took the dog home, right? And then the next day I took the dog out for a walk. And then I started really getting a look at the dog. And so this was the first Merle dog I ever bought. Actually, I think it was the only Merle. It's the only Merle dog I've ever bought.
What breed was that?
Well, it was supposed to be American Bulldog, is what he said.
Yeah. Okay, that's what okay. I just had to make sure. A Merle American Bulldog?
But when I think about it now, that it was probably an American Bully.
Yeah.
I mean, it had 2 different color eyes. I don't know how I didn't catch that. But it was piebald, but it had Merle patches. It was a brownish, it was like a dark brown dog, and then you could see the Merle within the patches. And so when I took it out and I got it in the sun, I noticed that. And I didn't even know what that was, really. I had seen that on other dogs, but at this time, like, as far as like, I was still like learning about like the biology of canines, and like this is what prompted me to start learning about color codes.
Right.
That's when I found out that it is, that it's a fact that the color of a dog's coat is genetically tied to its temperament and to its physical and physical and mental health. Because, when I was like, man, I don't understand this. Like, I've seen it. What do they call this color? I asked my brother. He's like, I think they call it like a Merle or a Dapple or something like that. And he was like, what the guy said that it was. He said it was American Bulldog. I mean, it looked like a bulldog or a bulldog-ish. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't really know what it was. But yeah, I definitely bought something. I don't know, by accident. I think it was an American Bully, or in the early stages. They said the dog had come out of Kentucky somewhere. So, but back then dogs were everywhere. Man, it was so easy to get dogs, man. They were everywhere. Like I remember my cousin, man. This nigga came to my house one time with this pit bull litter. It wasn't even. But these dogs were no more pit bulls than fucking. I ain't gonna say that, but these dogs weren't pit bulls. He might be in the comments. He was waiting for me to wake him up. Rangers, say no. But so, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. But there were just dogs. Like it was, like I said, it was easy to get pretty much anything. But my cousin come over with these dogs that he said, he's like, I saw the parents. I'm like, well, nigga, you must have been looking at these motherfuckers with your eyes closed.
Mm.
And so, yeah, no, these dogs had like, but they were long haired, like medium coat. Like, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, man, I saw the parents. I'm like, bruh, man, some other dog must have got a hold of that bitch then, because
Well, I mean, I know the Borble, it produces a long coat sometimes, but that was due to isolation. Actually, funny enough, there wasn't many good males around when it came to the Borbles. From what this the breeder, he was a preservation breeder. He said there wasn't really many good male Borbles around, so he bred a German Shepherd to a female
well, yeah,
Borble.
they had to reconstruct it.
Right, right.
Yeah, so yeah, they had to reconstruct it. Like,
And then
yeah,
that's
I
the
mean,
same thing with the English Mastiff too. It was bred to Saint Bernard. That's why you get long haired Saint Bernards now
yeah,
because
it's
of
in some cases breed back
yeah,
is a thing. If it's like we said when you were talking about like quality and things like that starting to diminish like over time, like anything, because even in the environment still is changing itself. You got, what they would say, you have pollutions or global warming or whatever you want to believe or call it. So that stuff affects the environment as well. Maybe it's not as cold as it used to be. So it's like, think about it, like if the temperature is starting to get warm in a place where a dog has come from a colder region where it's used to it being 20 degrees colder, and now it's
right,
not like that anymore.
yeah,
And then it significantly the environment starts to do that. That animal is going to start to reconstruct itself. So if man isn't paying attention to it or is not, is not really running the program, then yeah, you probably are going to find some situations where, or like you said, or if you don't have enough of something, you got to start looking for something close to it
right,
to put in there. But
right.
ultimately, those people were letting people know that that's what they were doing. Though, like,
Mm,
hey, yeah, we had to do this, and this is why we had to do it.
yeah,
But understanding that once you get to a certain point, you can say if you cross, like you said, you cross a German Shepherd into a Boerboel, and then 7 generations down, you test it, you're probably not going to see that German
no,
Shepherd in
yeah,
there at
it's gonna
all.
get washed out. And then the AKC, they even accept some dog breeds if they're 80% of the breed that they are registered as or are
Right.
saying they are.
But the only problem with that is sometimes that, let's say you do that, this is where breedbacks can fail. It's like this is where having a background in genetics comes into play, because
Hmm.
even though you do that, so let's say, yeah, you might have gotten rid of the problem for a few generations, but then that problem can resurface, especially if it's something that's already tied into the makeup of the breed. The only thing you did was kind of steer it to the right a little bit.
Yeah,
It was going this way, and then eventually it comes right back around. That's why you see that a lot. It's proof of that a lot. You see, like, man, we did this, and then for a while we didn't see it, and then it came back up. Like 10 years later, we saw it again.
right.
And that's why. Because
Mm,
one, things, like I said, that's why the environment is the most important thing. The environment and then diet. Those are the 2 most important things.
okay.
Those are the 2 most important things you want to ask your breeder or look at. Like, what's the environment and what are you feeding these dogs? Because if your
Yeah,
dogs are programmed to an environment, then you should be feeding that dog the same way.
right.
So all of that, like maybe that's why your dog isn't living as long or he's not performing, because one, maybe they didn't even make a record. That's why I always tell my clients that call me for programming, like, bro, if you're not writing everything down that I'm telling you to do, which is writing everything down that you're doing, when it comes time for you to sell your puppies or when you get done with your program, then you should be giving a handbook that you already wrote to tell them how to take care of your dog. It's like a real estate agent. Real estate agents, in my opinion, are kind of useless, because How you gonna sell my shit better than me?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, you know what I mean? Like bro,
Yeah.
I had my house up for sale recently. Like they just come through here and just walk around. You can't even say shit. You don't know what the fuck is going on in here.
Here's the kitchen. Here's the 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, like
That's
just
all they can say.
you know what I mean. Like if I want to sell
Yeah.
something, like me, bro. Like I'll tell her like, look, let me do it. I'm
Right.
coming there and tell them everything. Like, look, I did this, da 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 da, and then when I moved in here, I had to paint the walls here, and I made this an accent wall. And actually, I did this to coincide. I'm gonna give. She can't do that, or he can't do
You're
that
gonna get a
because he
whole
don't
rundown.
fucking know.
Yeah. Right.
So who's gonna tell you how to take care? See, it's kind of like the same thing like with snakes or people just buy a dog and then they get on Google and then they get this generalization of what they should or shouldn't be doing. So then if that's the case, then you don't need to be buying dogs from a breeder. You should just buy a dog from like a vending machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just go buy the dog from the vending machine. Or Amazon. Amazon should just start selling dogs now.
They're about to start selling cars. We're gonna get there at one point.
You know what I mean? Because you pick a breeder for a reason, and I get it. Some people just want a dog for like companionship, and that's great. And I think it's your responsibility as a breeder to not sell somebody a working dog for a companion dog in a situation where they're never going to be in a working setting. And it's your responsibility, not to sell, as a breeder, bro. Like, you should just know, like, listen, ma'am, this isn't the dog that you want. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, I'm not going to sell you the dog.
Breeders don't be doing that.
No, because, one, here's the thing. As a breeder of anything, I don't care what animals, like as an importer, as an exporter, nigga, I have to be ready to keep every animal that I import because they might not ever sell.
Facts.
I don't have a choice because I don't see no dogs, cats, or snakes lining up to be nobody's pets nowhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we got guys out here, like one of the channels, reptile channels that I do, one of the guys on there, they were talking about like how cats are like fucking up the environment, and which is true. And compared to like reptiles down in Florida, because Florida's got that huge problem down there. They're like, oh, it's cats, and they should be going on cats. And I'm like, bro, they already did. Like, they gave cats AIDS, and it still didn't work. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Like, they already went on a war against cats. And so, like, but here's the thing, bro. Like, I had to leave in the comments is like logic, bro. Yeah. It ain't the cat's fault. It's your fault.
Right.
You the one want the cats. You want the dogs. You want the snakes. The snakes are loose in Florida. The cats are loose because of you. But man don't want to take responsibility for nothing.
No.
Blaming the cats. Oh, the cats. It's the cats. No, it's not the cats, bro. It's not the snakes. They're just doing what they're just being cats.
You keep breeding these dogs.
Man does not have to have a pet. You don't have to have pets.
And we're not in the times where we need these animals to help us survive
people are not buying. People ain't buying pets because of inflation and things like that right now. Like, we're gonna choose, like, pretty soon, motherfuckers gonna stop buying haircuts because it's just not gonna make sense anymore.
You ain't lying, boy. Them haircuts get expensive. My barber talking about he gonna charge me $27. He be like, man, you my nigga. Oh, let me get a discount then. He charged $27.
That's cheap. That's cheap.
That's cheap. Yeah, it is. It is. But he's talking about he's going up this year. He's going up on his prices this year.
$27, man. He can open up a shop in D.C. He gonna be a millionaire that first year. $27. He's
That's
good.
What I was like, why don't you stay at that price? He was like, I can't. I got to catch up with the market. I can't stay at 27.
You can, but that's the thing, bro. You gotta, if you understand business. I don't know if it's just him working by himself.
It's just him, yeah.
But that's the thing. Is like my dude at his shop, bro. They charge like $60 and up, like walking in the door. Ooh. And 90% of their clients come through appointment. You know what I mean? Like, he's banking like that. Like, he will Like when I went home, when I was in D.C., I
Mm.
stopped in this shop. I caught him by accident. Like I don't say by accident, but by luck. Like because he doesn't even he lives there, but he works. You know, I mean, he lives out of state and he drives
Yeah.
in. And so I just happened to catch him, and he was in there with one client, just him in the shop. He was like, "Bro, I literally came down here to do this one jump." He was like, "That was it." And then I'm about to drop him off at home, and then I'm about to go back. I'm about to go back up to the mountain.
Yeah.
You know what
Mm.
I mean? But this dude makes more money cutting hair than any barber I've ever met in my life. So me and my dude who owned the restaurant, when me and him were working together at his restaurant, we were doing the math on this shit. He's like, "I'm in the wrong business." I'm like, "Yeah, you
Yeah.
probably are." I mean, I don't, at that time they had just legalized weed, so I've been in the right business.
This
I
nigga.
told him, hey, he was like, "Man," he said, "Let me get this straight." He was like, "I pay you, and I pay them, and then they pay you, but then you don't pay me." It was like, "You fired." but not like they giving you a whole experience. It's the environment.
Right.
That environment. If you walk in this shop, bro, it's a little private shop. You go in there, like most barber shops don't look like this. You know
Okay.
what I mean? Like this shit is like antique. He's got his own products in there. Like
Right.
they got antique chairs in there. Like he built
Wow.
this from the ground up. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like this dude be doing like haircut seminars over in like Hungary, and like they got like wedding packages that are like starting at like I don't even know how
Oh,
much,
so
and
this
they
nigga,
and they and they
he
and they don't
professional.
even and they don't even do the wedding packages at the shop.
Wow.
And they got a whole nother spot where they go and do them. Like if you go to his page, they got all the like man, you go in there, bro. They got cigars in there
Man,
for
shout
you.
him out. Shout him out right
Yeah,
quick. You know his page?
it's called the Sweet Barbershop.
Okay. Okay. I'm
But
gonna have to check it out. Nigga might just pull up for a haircut for the experience.
yeah, they stick cigars, cognac, because he was like I think he's like a cigar model for some one of them cigar books. But
You
yeah,
got E&J in there?
I don't know what they got in
No.
there, but
Oh, I'm about to
yeah,
say Duro going in there. They got E&J.
Duro close to him. Yeah, he's not that far from him, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, he's got a it's a whole experience in there, man. Like two part,
Yeah.
but that's what it's about. Like you go in there, you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
it's like you don't feel bad about the $60.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
he does like the what is that for men going bald? What is that like the putting the micro blading or whatever in the hair? Like
Yeah.
they do all that there. Yeah,
Oh,
they
that
do
nigga. I
but they
gotta go
do
check it out.
all of that. Facials, the hot towels. They can do your hairline with the razor blade. Like all
Wow.
of that, bro. Like
Okay.
so you getting what you pay for, and that's the same thing with a dog or with a snake. Or that's why I said like I don't give a fuck about that dog's temperament. Like I want to be on the phone. Like okay, like this is a nice
My
guy,
main
man. I
unit.
think this is you know what I mean. Like this
Yeah.
guy's how much you say you want for that dog again? $10,000. Like man. $10,000, bro. But
That's
I'm gonna come.
crazy though. The
I'm
people.
gonna come check you out. I don't think
Yeah.
there's no dog on the planet worth more than $2,500.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, I'll
Yeah.
never.
It just like I'm not excusing these people, but I see why most ninjas be getting mongrels off the street because they don't want to spend the 2,500, 3,500, 4,500, and then like you said, 10,000. Some people be like 10,000 for my
that's
best.
that's more than a tiger, my nigga.
Yeah. Oh, you said wait,
I'm
a
not
tiger?
paying. Yeah, I'm not paying
Oh,
that for no
yeah,
damn dog. For no canine. Are
yeah.
you crazy?
That is crazy. Wow.
Yeah,
A
man.
five
Now,
five
but
hundred pound apex predator is less than uh a 30, 40 pound micro bully in some people's kennels. Wow.
yeah, bro. Like, man, it's like yeah, bro. So that's the thing. Is like whatever it is. Like I think that you a part of what you paying for is the experience. But I mean, don't get me wrong. But some people are better at playing the game than others because you got some
Right.
kennels out here that they're gonna sell you a $6,000 dream. You sell you a $6,000 dog, and ain't no dog on the property ever done no work.
Yeah.
Work training. Anybody who know me is I do not confuse training with work. You know what I mean? When you got that sleeve, as long as that sleeve is on, there ain't no blood, that's training.
Yeah.
To me, I'm not
I've been
going to get.
seeing people train without sleeves where the dog is biting them just
Well, yeah,
straight on.
I think people are just being people are just being kind of moronic about that. Like you're gonna,
Yeah.
you want to. Here's the thing, right? You want to if you can create a situation that's pretty realistic if you want to, but very rarely is anybody doing that situation because
Right.
one, there's so many aspects to what. Here's the thing. Let me not even say realistic. And a situation that can actually happen because reality and actuality are very different. They're very different words. They have very different meanings, and they are very different.
Definitely.
The manifestations of them are very different.
Definitely.
So you're taking a dog to the same place to train, or as you say, work every time with the same people every time. Right there, it's a problem, at least for me. That's a problem because my dog is going to be in the only environment that this dog is really going to be in. Like, here's the thing: if I feel that I need a dog for protection, right? That means this dog is coming everywhere with me. Otherwise, I don't need a dog for protection.
Right. It's just like a gun. If I don't have my gun everywhere with me, it's not protecting me. I can't use it.
Well, right. Well, that's the thing. If you feel that, man, I need to carry a gun. Or I feel that I need a dog to protect me. My life is in some sort of danger.
Yeah.
Then that dog can never be at home.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Otherwise, you're just full of shit. You don't need a protection dog. That's just something
That's
you
true.
just said or something you heard.
Right.
Because if I need a protection dog when I'm at work, if the motherfucker that I think is getting me is gonna get me when I'm getting off work, and the dog is at home, how is the dog gonna help me?
That's true. Yeah.
That's not a protection dog. That's a dog that could protect, but he's not because he's not in the environment to do it. So I take this dog with me everywhere I go, right?
Right.
So he's in a different situation. He's seeing different people. He may or may not be interacting with different people. He's going to see different dogs. So you're taking the dog back to the same place every day. And most likely, most of the times, they're doing the same exercises over and over and over. And it's not even realistic. You're using objects that actually, see, this is the difference between realistic and actuality. Because in your reality, niggas is using gas cans and whatever else, like I always say, because that's what they use. But in actuality, that is never going to occur. So to me, you are challenging the intelligence of a dog to the intelligence of a human, because the human understands that this is not a weapon and this is not going to ever be put in a situation to be used against you.
Right. It's going to be a gun, a knife, a bat. It's going to be, then say if the dog's in the home, dog getting thrown into the TV, the computer, the couch, the table.
Well, right. So we can, if you have, so here's my thing is like, I guess maybe I'm very hard to impress.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's what it is. I don't give. You can say you've been doing this shit for 70 years. I don't give a fuck.
What you did?
because one thing I know, time ain't real. So I don't really care. Even when I say it to people, I say it all the time. Yeah, I've been doing this for 40 something years. But at the end of the day, it's not about the period. It's about what I did.
Right.
But people are like, oh, I'm a breeder. Not to me, you're not. Oh, I bred this. I don't give a fuck. You can take it how you want. I've bred species, over 100 species of plants and animals. Nigga, you are not a breeder. You're not a breeder. You've never done this before.
Yeah.
You're playing around in my home court. But people take offense. I am kind of a jerk, but I'm me. That's why I get shit done. All my cooks, they all like working for me, and all the motherfuckers went on to be successful with the same attitude that I have right now to them. So it's not going to stop. So when people are like, oh, I breed this, I breed that, like, yeah, no, you are a dog breeder.
Right.
But you're not a master breeder.
Mm.
Because if you're a master breeder, that means if I give you such and such, if I give you 20 cannabis seeds, then I shouldn't have to explain shit to you. You're a master breeder, like you can throw you can send me dogs, snakes, cats, frogs, plants, whatever, and it's gonna get bred and taken care of. It's already happening.
Mm.
Who else is doing that?
You stand on that, huh?
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, I do it. I've been doing it.
Right.
So it's not me trying to take anything away from anybody, but at the same point in time, because of social media and all this shit, I think it's just time for people to start getting put in their place.
Right.
That's just how I see it now.
I agree with
Because I got guys who don't want me to come on their show because they say I'm a reptile guy, dog guys. And then I got reptile people who say they don't want me to come on their show because I'm a dog guy. So clearly none of them don't know shit. Because I have never claimed dogs or reptiles. I'm just a nigga that fuck with animals and plants, flora and fauna. That's my thing. Right. That's what I do. That's what you see. That's what I've always shown.
Right.
Everywhere I go, like, bro, how is it I go everywhere I go, like, people hate on me so much, but I have people, anytime somebody says something, I say something or I comment, the first thing people do, they call me a drug dealer. Oh, or especially on Instagram. Oh, how's that cannabis selling going? Oh, it's going great. How's your job going? How much you make today? You think calling me, trying to insult me about cannabis? Like, you probably smoked that shit. Right. And you wish that you did own a cannabis farm or had some kind of connection to one like I do. So, like, I don't know, I don't, at this point, it's why I have to pull myself off of Instagram. Because you can't challenge nobody on Instagram. And so since that's what people want, I figured, fuck it, I might as well go ahead and give it to them the real way. You can't say anything on there. That's why I want to take everything to the radio where it's uncensored and I can say whatever I want to whoever, however I want. And they feel free to do the same thing back to me because you can only do and say so much. And that has created a whole different personality out here. And that's the personality that I'm talking to. So anybody that's offended, that's the personality. That is the personality. That is the social media personality right now. It's like fucking Optimus Prime out here now. Like, you have taken something that was, like, passionate to people that people would, like, bro, you have people that wake up every day and believe lies. And even if you show them the truth, like facts, hardcore facts, they are still going to continue.
That's the truth.
To just, I ain't trying to hear that. So when, that's why this new, that's why I wanted, like I said, when you asked me like how I want to do, like, bro, we just have a conversation because everything that I'm doing, if anybody has been watching my shit, like, bro, like, I'm going to be me. And I'm not stopping anybody from being them. You got guys who want to debate me because I exposed them for being the personality that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For being the problem that I'm talking about. Like, like I got a lot of content out there, bro. And I don't even be saying most of the shit and stuff that I really could be saying. Because I don't want to get people's channels shut down, or, this, that, and the other. Like, I don't really give a fuck about what somebody thinks about. I don't care about that. That's not going to stop nothing over here. Like, I care about plants and animals. And so that's the people that I'm talking to. Anybody who feels the same way that I do, they're going to understand what I'm saying when I say that. Because with a dog breeder who's been doing something 30 years, 40 years, and then some guy comes in, like we said, after 2 years and says, I'm a breeder too. What dog breeder do you know is going to give that dude credit? None. Bro, they will put all kind of memes up. They'll repost that. So I'm not doing nothing that nobody else isn't already fucking doing. Yeah. But I actually have the credentials to say shit, and I don't even be saying shit. I just go do my podcast. You know what I mean? And so that's why, like, if you've been watching any of my shit, if you see, like, I'm really getting away. Like I'm trying to get more on like a Joe Rogan type of level.
Okay.
Whether like I just don't want to just like animals and all that shit is cool. Like, bro, that's my life. That's been my life, but it's deeper shit happening out here now. Like plants and animals, bro, that shit's about to come to an end. I mean, I'll keep it real with motherfuckers. Like this shit that we doing right now is fucking futile in the grand scheme of things. In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
We're wasting our time. But I like doing this because I'm gonna do everything that I can do to preserve what I can. But at the end of the day, you know, people aren't, bro. Like if at the end of the day, no one is going to get on board to fight the fight that needs to be fought on any level. People are just going to be, because why? They done trapped you on these devices. This is where you trapped at. This is where you fight at now. That's my whole point behind it. That's why I'm like, yeah, man, I want to try to bring this shit back. Like I want to start bringing on people who start talking about some esoteric shit. You know, start talking about different intelligences and what's like. Cause I could say some crazy shit right now. You know what I mean? And I don't mean it doesn't necessarily mean like crazy, but to make you understand why you ain't never gonna see them real files for those people that care. And I can show it to you, and then I can prove it to you, and then why? Then I can take it back over 1,000 years, like that. See, people don't even really know me for that, but that's what everybody thought that I would be doing. No one thought. All my people, all my people. They didn't think that I would be doing no kind of animal content, bro. They thought I would have been doing like some anti-government, spiritual, like 5 levels of the soul, like because all through the 90s in high school where I got laughed at for talking about that. And then like all them dudes, they be blowing my phone up now. I don't even want to talk to them. Like, right? I'm so far beyond that, bro. I don't even care. Like, I'm just like, when are they going to turn the power off? Because this shit is starting to get boring to me. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah, man. Well, we got 2 hours in. I think we touched on a lot. I appreciated the show. Hopefully your people liked it. Hopefully my people rocked with it. Like I said, man, we have to get on the phone again. Have to chop it up one more time. Cause you just do like this. This is base level stuff of what Rain talks about, what he knows, and his level of thinking is just. It's crazy. So yeah, hit the like button, subscribe. Rain has his radio show. It's out now, isn't it?
So here's the thing: is like download the app. It's called Station Head. Just go to the App Store, Station Head, one word. Download that app. It's gonna be live talk radio, music. So, you know, all kind of music. I'll be playing music throughout the day when the show is not running. But this app gives me a lot of fluidity. I can just literally do a show whenever I want. I can have guests on, live guests on instantly. Whoever has the app, you can listen in, you can tune in, you can tell me what kind of music you want to hear. I can throw that shit in the playlist, rotation. Anybody, you know, still going to be having guests on the show, but this want to be, you know, like hardcore. You know, like I said, like some Joe Rogan, Howard Stern. Like, yeah, I'm going to talk about animals and plants, but I'm also going to be talking about some other stuff as well. Because, like I said, you know, like I have a lot of layers to peel off. And, you know, every time I do a podcast, I find myself slipping more and more into that information and, you know, really just trying to, you know, get people to really see what the fuck is really going on out here. So, you know, you're going to hear a lot of that on there, man. I'm probably going to have like Chris Wormack come on there, you know, because a lot of people don't know. Like, some people be turned off. They don't know. Like, you know, I study, you know, a lot of magecraft. I've studied witchcraft, magic, black magic, white magic. You know, magic is just magic depending on who you are. You know, it's just magic until you take it one way or take it the other way. But I've studied a whole lot of stuff. Most of the, you know, I've studied damn near every religion that's out. I have all kind of old books.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yeah, going back 1600, 1700, all kind, you know. So, yeah, all kind of
Rain
shit.
said he about to be the next DJ Kid Capri. Okay, I'm gonna have to download and check it out, bro.
Yeah, man, go download the app, bro. It's crazy because people get mad. They're like, "Oh, I don't need social media," and I'm like, "All right, bro, I'll give you something better. Like, I'll do this." And then only 2 people go download the fucking app so far. But I'm like, "Oh, don't leave. You know what I mean? Like, bro, okay, here we go. Let's get on this where I don't have to worry about what I'm saying. You know what I
Right.
mean? Where because you're still doing the same thing, it's just radio. You got music,
Right.
you can still make comments. Like I can
Yeah.
literally, you got the app. Like man, somebody can make a comment. Like you know what? I'm about to bring you on the show right now. No
Yeah.
links, none of that shit. You
Wow.
know what I mean? So, and then anybody who has a channel, you can also run your channel. Use that to extend your reach there on the station head.
Right.
Because you ultimately, once you download the app and sign up, you also have a channel. So if you have Spotify, Apple Music, or whatever, you link that in your playlist. And like I said, you can run live music, live talk radio, whenever the fuck you want for
Wow.
free.
Okay.
And if you can make money on the shit. So,
I'm gonna have to check it out.
yeah, man.
Yeah. All right, man.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
you have a blessed Sunday. I appreciate you. Um, man, hit me up whenever you want to talk again, bro. And if you want me to come on Radiohead, I'll do that too. Duro, as always, appreciate you, bro. Yella, appreciate you. Big Biz Hounds, appreciate you, fam.
Yeah, man.
Superior Warrior Kennel, salute to you. This is Catch Dog Concepts. I'm about to figure out who I want on next. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
But all right,
appreciate
brother.
everybody for tuning in. So hopefully I'll see y'all on Station Head, man.
Already.